Hello, everybody. Today is a short and sweet Friday the 13th edition of The Climb's Free Talk Friday, which is brought to you by the Digital Mastermind. And if you want all the latest tips, tricks, tools, mentorship, you want to be a part of a tribe of agency owners, your people, if you are agency owner or marketing leader, go ahead and shoot me an email, Jon at digitalmastermind.com, or check out the website, see if it's for you. It will be if you want to grow your agency. So today is a free talk Friday, and this show is live. And if you're not hearing it live, maybe you should tune in, typically on Wednesdays and Fridays, noon Eastern time. And before we get into all of our fantastic topics, I'd like to bring out my co-host, Dave McGraw. Dave, why don't you come out here, bud?
Hey, how's it going? We're gonna quick fire episode. Exciting! This is a new format.
Yeah. So actually, it's Friday the 13th. Were you a big scary movie fan?
Yeah, but I was always a Freddy Krueger over a Jason guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I was a Jason guy over Freddy. It's funny. Funny. What's the best Freddy Krueger movie?
The original, by far.
Is it really?
I think so.
I couldn't even name a Jason movie. I just liked having the mask. I think I wore that thing for multiple Halloweens.
Yeah, just I liked the idea of the idea that he comes to you in dreams. I thought that was great. Where Jason was just basic. He was like basic scary.
Yeah, that's the scariest thing. Like it's the actual guy that's knocking on the door with a big old butcher knife and a mask. Yeah. All right, so some of the things that I think we should cover today. One is the power of direct communication. So this is something we had a breakthrough this week, and it's something we talk about a lot. But the interesting thing is when you're speaking with people and you're being direct, sometimes it doesn't always land well, right? But you can't really change things, right? So if you're going to either be direct or you're going to be indirect, it's rather by it's either one or the other. The word's escaping me right now that I wanted to say. So
passive aggressive.
What's that? Nah, it's not passive aggressive. It's one or the other. I can't even think of the word. I'll move forward. But people can be passive aggressive, right? People can just sugarcoat things. People can beat around the bush, which if you want to be efficient in what it is that you're doing and communicate, that's not going to be beneficial.
Right.
So with some teammates this week, I know it didn't land well the first time it was said, but it's nothing personal. But later on throughout the week, it's essentially worked itself out in the best way because they had the best information. And the recommendation I always give to people is to be, direct, but be gentle with that. And sometimes you can't be gentle because you just need to move as quick as possible. You need to give the information in the most succinct way, removing all emotion. So,
yeah, correct.
But have you had situations where you were direct and it just completely somebody takes it the wrong way?
Well, I've had lots of that. I mean, of course, it's you have to have emotional empathy. Like you got to be able to, or tactical empathy. Sometimes when you're direct, you got to know when to be direct and when not to. And sometimes you can choose the wrong time and it makes the situation worse. But because I wish everyone was a logical creature like I am that can just, process the things as a rule set rather than an emotional thing, but not everybody is. So you got to be able to navigate that.
There's a scene in the movie Life Aquatic when Angelica Houston walks up to Bill Murray's character, Steve Zissou, and it's on the island, and she hasn't seen him or whatnot. He's on his little Jacques Cousteau-like voyage. He walks up. The first thing she says as she takes a drag of her cigarette is like, "Your cat died." And he's like, damn.
Yeah.
It's direct, but he's like, why did you have to say it like that? Right? And I always think that with the information, like, okay, how can I give this in the most direct form, but not be, overly, too direct, just heartless and cold. So I think there's a balance there that always needs to be achieved. But that's one thing. Just want to acknowledge that it's not easy, it's not hard, but it's something that everybody should continue to practice, direct communication. And we had a fantastic DMG call this week.
It was very good.
A lot of sharing, a lot of caring.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's heading in. It's pretty much the midway point of Q4. Everyone's kind of closed up their books for Q3, doing some reflection, seeing what worked and what didn't. The reality of the election and looking forward is now, a reality. And for business, it's, what's 2021 doing? What's your plan? People are planning right now for next year. We talked about what are people doing for the Christmas parties? You know, there's a lot of I'm just shocked. Like when we first started talking about COVID back in
March, February, something like that. Yeah,
I would not believe that we weren't having a Christmas. People weren't having get-togethers for Christmas parties. That is ridiculous to me. We're doing it,
and we're getting together.
Yeah, unless we're told we can't. So.
And I mean, if we probably went back and checked those out, I never thought it would have got to this point. I mean, just even the masks were kind of optional at that point, and going into stores with them and whatnot. Now that it's mandatory. I mean,
back then it was like, don't buy masks. You don't need it. Put a mask on. You have to use. I mean, the messaging was all over the place. The one thing you can say about this pandemic is that politics. It was all politics.
I don't know if I necessarily is the driver is what you're saying?
Just pretty much.
As a driver? I mean, maybe. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, so but that looks like that's what we talked about on the DMG call was, what's next year's reality look like? We took a quick straw poll of who's optimistic for next year. I don't think anyone raised their hand where that did that.
No, nobody. One person was optimistic, but that was toward the end. Yeah, one person was like, I think next year will be okay, but that's the extent of their optimism.
What do you think?
What do I think? I think next year is going to be good.
Good, better, or just the same?
I think it's going to be right about the same that it is now. It's not going to be better. So
a lost year.
Yeah, but
it sucks.
It sucks. I think it's conditional though, based on how you feel about the working now. For now, to get deals and close deals is substantially harder than it was before. Sure. The amount of effort it takes to even find them and get them and close them, even if it's inbound or a referral or whatnot, substantially higher.
I'm not. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in business there's a term called Japan's lost decade, which I think was the 90s, which basically their stock market, nothing happened to it. It basically just stayed the same. And so if you put money in there, I mean, you saw zero or, almost no growth. And I mean, how depressing is that? How depressing would it be to be in an economy that nothing changes?
Yeah. And then it shrinks because that's just, as if you're not growing, you're shrinking in that state. Yeah, that would be terrible. And I don't know. I mean, granted, we have a new potential administration in, and markets typically tend to react to that depending on what the business climate's going to be. We'll see. So there's just so many things that are up in the air now. And this is something I tell people that typically get upset about the news and the media. You have to focus on the things that you control and the things that you can do in your business. If you're going to get that tidal wave that's coming, you can see it coming, you can maybe move, but sometimes, bad weather comes. At the end of the day, just take your actions as best as you can and just keep moving forward, or, fold up and quit. For
our marketing, for our agency audience, the thing that I guess has me most concerned is, and this was discussed on the great DMG call this week, what happens if we have another wave of shutdowns for all the small business? I mean, that's the final blow for the restaurants and the people that made it through this summer. If they have to shut down again during the holidays, it's over. Yeah,
there was one of the new administration's advisors came out and made that recommendation. It was like a 4 to 6 week shutdown. I think a 4 to 6 week shutdown is a death knell for a lot of companies, because a lot of companies don't even have at this point 2 weeks revenue, let alone
they're trying to kill Thanksgiving. Have you heard of it? You're only allowed to have so many people over for Thanksgiving now.
How many? What's the number?
3 households.
Households.
So if you have a family of 4, and they each have their own families, you have to pick 2 of them.
Imagine how elated some people are now that they can say, no, Aunt Betsy, you're not coming.
Right.
Uncle Jack's not going to make it either. Sorry. Yeah.
Still, I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, no. Any type of restriction for typically business owners isn't welcomed. I don't know any business owner that wants, all right, yeah, or even anybody for that matter that's going to welcome restrictions.
And then without a traditional Thanksgiving, are we going to have a traditional Black Friday, which is the saving grace day for most retailers? I would imagine that gets blown out of the blown away. This is probably going to be the worst Black Friday in the history coming up.
I think it's not going to be as good, but the people, the type of personality that wakes up at or goes the night before, camps out to get the big screen TV for $7.
Yeah,
COVID's not scaring that person. Nothing's going to get in between the way of them and that big screen.
No, but the stores will just simply not be open. They won't allow it.
That's a different story, right?
Correct.
But yeah, as far as the people wanting to,
well, you know who's loving this? Yeah, you know who might be behind another 4 to 6 week shutdown? Mr. Bezos, because Amazon is going to completely facilitate all of the Christmas shopping this year.
That's a great point. Yeah.
For the 2 people that are watching us, they just heard a great point.
I guess some other good news, PPP forgiveness. That's something that we got. I'm sure there's other agencies as well that are potentially getting theirs right now.
So somebody gave me some shit earlier in the year for even accepting this PP loan because we were not dramatically affected. And I just told them, I said, look, you have no clue what's coming. You have no clue what's coming down the year, or if something happens or if there's a respike. So here we are at the end of the year, and it looks like we're looking at another shutdown and another blow to the economy. And thank God we took it. And, we're in a position where we're not going to be firing somebody right before Christmas. So, to that person, you know what I want to say to you right now.
Maybe they're watching. I don't think they're. I don't know this person. I didn't know about this, but I would think that this person's not in a business ownership capacity.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we just got forgiven. It's official. Everything's updated. So the process was pretty smooth. I don't know what everybody else is going through or what their bank is. We had to go through a small credit union in Virginia, but smooth.
And there's also the EIDLs and whatnot. Those are starting to get paid back by some companies, and those are not forgivable, right?
Well, you got a $10,000 advance that you do have to pay back, and then
the $10,000 isn't free money.
No.
Okay, I think a lot of people think it is. That's good to know.
Yeah, no, the $10,000 was a forward on the EIDL loan, which is I think a max of $150,000, and that has to be paid back. That doesn't get forgiven. There was the PPP loan gets forgiven, the EIDL gets paid back, and the $10,000 was an advance on the $150,000. So, or my bank lied to me and made an extra $10,000 off us.
That would be some shit.
Either or.
Yeah. You know something else about the DMG call? A lot of people said that they're seeing their prospects, customers, clients behave pre-pandemic.
Where that was interesting.
Yeah, they said, I mean, as far as sales and getting those approved, I personally don't think I've experienced that or seen that, but it was great to hear it from the group, because at this point, it's something I can look at and say, all right, it's just this my perspective of a situation.
Yeah, I guess I'm not that close with the clients anymore, so I don't know if I can even add into that. So
yeah, but I have seen delays in approvals on account of that, just to see all right what one thing is going to look like and just the way that people are behaving.
But, everybody's cautious, You'd be dumb to not be cautious.
Right. Yeah. And we'll see. We'll see how many deals get pushed into the next year. I'm confident that we're going to have a strong Q4, and I hope every other agency out there that's working their hardest and worth their salt is too.
I mean, the poorly run agencies are going to go out of business this fall, right? Just like the poorly run restaurants are going to go out of businesses
or have,
or already have. But the silver lining is, the world's going digital. It's sad that Main Street's probably going to be closed up, but for digital marketing agencies, the realm of digital, it's already been here, but now the onus is just that much more. So,
and I mean that. So this is the thing I like about what's going on. If you get the fleas off the dog, right? If you aren't doing everything that you can, everything that you should, if you're not letting people go as quick as you have to, or don't have your ducks in a row, then all right, that company shouldn't exist. It's just evolution.
Well, it's free market capitalism.
Yeah, which some people think is cold, but I think it's the most simple, pure way for something to exist. Long as you don't cheat it, like old Bezos is. You think he's a monopoly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. How do you think within the next 5 years that company will get broken up?
No.
Yeah. Because what are the grounds to break it up? You would have to make it into a utility, right?
Well, it's just not getting broken up because he owns a massive amount of political capital. He owns the Washington Times. He creates his own media so that he can put pressure on anyone that tries to do that. I mean, he's a oligarch now. I mean, he's one of the most powerful people in the world, and that's not changing. So I'm cynical of our government be able to. I don't think our government is capable of dealing with monopolies. They've been owned by monopolies for a long time, and they're never going to be able to do it.
So what do you think? You think it's the four horsemen of the top monopolies
of the digital age of big tech?
Yeah,
the FANG. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. We'll see how it pans out. Yeah,
social media. There was a shakeup. This election caused a shakeup on Twitter and all social media. I think we'll see some fallout on that. There's a lot of other platforms emerging. For digital marketers, we have to be aware of it. They're hopefully, because competition is the answer for everything, right?
Yeah.
And so as long as there's good competing products out there, then there's opportunity. So just to talk about a personal experience, I looked into MeWe, and their business model is a social network, very similar to Facebook, but it's free. And if you want those premium features, you pay $5 a month. And I'm like, and there's no ads, and they don't sell you data. And I was like, wow, it's almost refreshing not being the product anymore, where I don't have to worry about what I'm being sold or what I'm posting, because then they're going to start selling me other shit like Facebook is. And I know you're not a big Facebooker, but tons of ads. It's ads nonstop.
Yeah, and the whole way and I get it. They're a business; they have to manipulate their algorithm, and that's how it flows. But I think the same thing that happened. I think Craigslist is a perfect example. Every little niche thing that you have on Craigslist became a separate business.
Correct.
Right? So every little thing you have on Facebook is going to then spin off and have its own little group that is going to be the stronghold that Facebook won't die, but people are going to go there to just pull, the strings off of like, oh, hey, you should check out this group. You should do this. And they'll probably try to manipulate it, but that's what the future holds for them.
Here's the thing, though, that it'll be interesting to play out in the next decade is that Facebook, these big tech companies, business models, they're cash cows. They're making a killing, but they're all based on being the monopoly. Mm-hmm. Can their the amount of money they spend is and they invest in R&D like crazy without any return. Like they have huge divisions that don't even make money. Can that happen when they don't have a monopoly? When their market share goes from like 95% to 75%?
No, I don't think so.
So
that'll be a rapid decline. But it's the things that have to get into the way, and if they're smart enough, they're going to continue buying them up, right? So just think about like craft beer. Craft beer came out, and the big brands literally was just acquire. And then now craft beer sales are starting to, go down a little bit. And it's like, okay, they're going to be safe. The Budweisers of the world, were able to fight this battle, and they're going to go down. Now, granted, beer itself market share, is going down as well, but they're still in the strongest position. I think social media is going to see something similar. And the site that you just mentioned, as well as some of the others, this is going to be the craft beer trend.
Correct. Yep. And sadly for the society, that's just more echo chambers, more silos as people filter out into their preferred location.
But I think a law should be changed where you're responsible for what you post online.
100%.
Because you're responsible for punching somebody in the face on the street, right? Or even, I think if you even say something to them on the street, I'm not an attorney by any means, but online, if what you do or say creates an action that essentially spirals into something that's negative, I think everybody should watch what they say. Because if you're not willing to say it to me in a room, but you're willing to say it to me online, there needs to be some equanimity to that situation.
I agree with that, but I also think the platform, if they're going to editorialize what people are saying, then they can't be classified as a platform. They have to be classified as a media operation, and they just have a bunch of free journalists, free contractors. You know, if they're going to choose what gets pushed up and what doesn't get shown and all that, then they're just a media outlet. And so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
And speaking of platforms, we was it 2 years ago?
I want to say almost 3. Shit.
Almost 3 years ago. Almost 3 years ago. Made a pretty risky move by purchasing what was for you. It was a one-time client for me. We did a project. It was a long-term client for you, but this was our first venture together. We essentially decided to purchase our client. That's the point being made here. So we actually at DMG presented this to people, and some people took me outside of the room and like, hey, you know, the chapter where you had a bad idea. Well, this is it. You know, I don't think this is gonna pan out.
Really?
Well. Yeah. A few people. There was a whole circle that was out there. Yeah. Others were like, oh, I think that's a really good idea. And I love the direct feedback, though. It wasn't. I was like, okay, cool, right? We're already past whatever's going to happen, so we'll see. And there have been ups and downs in it. But now we've had some fantastic progress. We're taking something, changing its business model. It's becoming into a social media platform, which I want you to think about. And the point here is agencies should look at their client base, especially now because of the pandemic and COVID. And if they're having issues, all the ideas that you had that weren't accepted, what can you do if you were to take on that as an asset, something that's under your umbrella if you had complete control of it?
Right. And in this instance, it was a revenue generating website that revenue had fallen dramatically. And so this client was just looking to offload it. And, you know, for years I told him what needed to be done to stop that trend. And so this was, you know, they wanted to offload it. You know, we offered them I think a fair competitive price, and then pulled it off. And then, you know, we're seeing growth. At least we haven't lost anything. We're seeing a lot of excitement. User trends are all up. Employment applications are shooting through the roof. Engaged employers, engaged users, active users. It's all metrics are up. And, you know, our marketing team just reported to us something like 37% increase in followers this month, which is insane.
I think something else that I don't want to step over or breeze over is how many of the things that are now happening and have happened over the 3 years were recommended to the client where they just literally blew it off.
For the first year and a half, all we did is patch bugs and fix workflow issues that we were recommending that they wouldn't do. I mean, this client was so late to the game on mobile responsive that they lost their dominant page one, list one, you know, cred. And we were just watching it happen. We're like, what are you doing? Google literally is sending it. The only time they finally decided to do it is when Google sent out that notice that said websites that aren't mobile responsive are going to get damaged in their search rankings. And then finally they're like, okay, what can we do for $4,000? I'm like,
you know, I think that's a lesson too, and just anybody that owns something that's maybe an entrepreneur or business leader, that if the people that you're paying to, you know, be the professional, the expert, whether it's your doctor or your agency, and you're not listening to them, you're literally screwing yourself. You're going to spend so much money. How much money did he lose, would you say, based on not following that trend?
Oh, I mean, you know, I could probably look it up, but a lot. I mean, he was hemorrhaging market share And this site made him rich back in the 2000s. But I equate it to like owning a rental property. If you're not putting a percentage of the rent payments into a fund for repairs, then one AC outage just kills your investment for the year. So you need to have, or your house starts to break down and run down, and your asset is depreciating faster than it should be. So you need to make sure that you reinvest in your website and that you have a plan to capitalize that maintenance, and it's part of your business model, because he didn't. He wanted every dollar went to him, and he was just spending it and enjoying his life. And I don't think he really worked much in his 30 to 40s, which is great for him. Mm-hmm. But
he's that guy that I would meet at like a bar or whatever. It's like, yeah, I got this thing and it's great and I don't have to work. And then you run into him a few years later and it's like, hey, bro, I love your hot dog stand.
Yeah. So, it's going well. We're 3 years into it. It's a fun project. It's a hobby project. It's an industry that I love. And it's growing and it's building, and the brand is building, and it's our brand. So it feels good.
Jobs in Sports, everybody. Check it out. And love some feedback on it. And I think before we sum up the show here, I highly recommend to everybody that one account that you absolutely love. Look, it might even just become partners in it, not the other way around, where somebody's like, hey, I got this brilliant idea and I want you to do all this free work, and maybe it turns into something. If you've seen it, be a successful product, that's a conversation you should start either buying or becoming, an equity partner.
Well, also, we did encounter this with another client that was trying to do the whole partners thing. Be very careful, because a lot of people will just try to give you 20%, but you do all the work now for free because you're now part owner. And all you did is, you still don't make any decisions. Like when we were offered this other asset and that we almost did it, we made sure that in a 5-year transition, we were 100% owner. Like, sure, we'll be partners for 5 years, but the ultimate goal must be that we take over 100%, because I'm not going to just do a bunch of years worth of helping you do SEO and getting you on page one for a 20% cut that I can't make decisions on.
That was another one that didn't happen?
Yeah, that was the state site.
Oh, yeah. No way. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, saw that come across. We're like, yeah, that's not fair. That's the truth, because if you're just going to get screwed out of a deal, then it doesn't make sense. And in that deal, we didn't have nearly as much historic experience, and information, where it was kind of just, it doesn't feel right on multiple levels.
Yep.
All right. This was a good Free Talk Friday. Is there anything else that we should let our audience know, other than having an amazing weekend and day if they're listening to this on a Monday?
No, other than we're going to be, hurricaned out all weekend. So yay, us.
Oh, you guys are getting the hurricane? It's is that where it's at now?
I think so. Maybe it's past us. I don't know.
I think it's past. Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like you just guys got the bands. Like it was going the other direction.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
It still looks like shit outside right now, but
well, hopefully it's windy enough so you can fly a kite.
Sweet.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today and listening. Go ahead and shoot me an email, Jon@digitalmastermind.com, Jon, if you want to grow your agency. All right, thank you.